Oh, it's a good day to be a Wavetech member. A great day, in fact. We have finally updated to 1.18. Everyone on the server is super excited. I lied, nobody is excited. Updating to 1.18 broke all of our farms. We have so much work to do and fix all the non-void perimeters in various farms, and I am super excited as well. Mainly because now we are going to be able to utilize two things that the Cave and Cliffs update part 2 brings to the game. Expanded world height and deep slate. Lots of deep slate. This is huge, to me, at least. As a builder, polished deep slate is probably one of my favorite blocks, and the other deep slate varieties are pretty high up there as well. Soon we'll have quarries mining millions of deep slate, and the materials will start to pour on in. But why, Max? I hear you ask. Why do you need so much deep slate? And remember, this bad boy? We delayed constructing it until 1.18. One of the main building blocks? Deep slate. The other? Cobbled deep slate. And the other is basalt. Smooth basalt. That's right, we won't be making the iron farm deco in this video. In fact, we don't have nearly enough basalt, let alone smooth basalt, to create the bottom half of the iron farm deco. So while deep slate operations are being set up, we need to make a basalt farm. Luckily, Wavetech is not short of geniuses. Lenric and Trolley whipped this design up so insanely fast. This side you see here would be in the Nether, and this side would be in the Overworld, and this is mainly storage. This bad boy makes so much basalt per hour, more than I could ever potentially use. More than I could ever need. I'll have enough basalt until the sun explodes. I don't know. Oh, but what's this? This farm. It doesn't have a decoration. That's right, boys and gals. This episode is devoted to making these two relatively small farms a rather over-the-top decoration. Starting with the Overworld side of the farm. The first thing I did was make a large, very appropriate basalt box around the farm. Well, I say farm, this is technically just the storage for the farm. The real farm itself is actually in the Nether. You know, I'm gonna just call this the farm, just for the ease of talking, because otherwise I'd trip over my words more than I already am. Anyways, my goal was to make a pseudo skyscraper on its side, see, so I realized the easiest thing would be to embellish one wall, then copy and paste said wall on all four sides of the box. I used basalt as the deepest part of the building, so I started to make layers going outwards out of grey concrete, wool, and cobbled basalt. I then started working on the pillars, or supports, of the building. Again, it's supposed to look like a building on its side, so it's not really supporting anything, but I thought it would be interesting to embellish the pillars with these weird spikes on the side and in the middle, as you can see right there. The pillars are currently made out of deep slate bricks, but that was subject to change later, as you'll see in a bit. I then settled on a style for the spikes and changed a few aspects of the pillars to make them seem more interesting. I then really quickly cleaned up the inside, so the only blocks we need to place are those visible to the viewer to save on resources, and quickly extended my existing pattern a few iterations. At this point I liked what I did enough that I felt confident in copy and pasting it on all four sides of the building. Little did I know that I mismeasured and I would have to delete a lot of process in order to make it right. Oops. The next thing I started working on was a large portal that the building would be extruding from. I wanted it to look like this large structure came barreling out of a very large nether portal, so I chose purple glass to mimic the same kind of idea and, of course, color scheme of a nether portal. I decided to change it up where the building met the glass, and I used amethyst blocks, and later I would add in a few other types of blocks to kind of give the feeling that this material is shimmering out of this portal. It was about this time that I realized my mistake in the mismeasuring, and I quickly got to fixing that using a lot of world edit, and good thing I had / undo. After I fixed my little mistake, I quickly began to work on the portal portion once again. I wanted to make sure that I got this one correct, so when I measured it, I double and triple checked and made sure everything was perfectly aligned, and this time, it finally was. And once it was to my liking, I copy and pasted it next to the building itself once again. After I moved the portal a little bit closer, the next thing I did was fix the border of amethyst around the building, and made sure it matched up with the portal nicely, and then I followed it up with making an obsidian border around the edge of the portal, once again reinforcing the notion that this is a nether portal. Next, just to make sure that the building didn't feel a little lonely, I added another building, and soon to be a third, smaller skyscraper of sorts coming out of the side of the portal. Now, the top of this, I struggled knowing what to do with it, and later I finally came up with a good iteration, but I went through, 3, 4, maybe even 5 designs on paper and in the world before I finally came across something I somewhat liked. Afterwards, I worked on the roof for the main building. It was a little more difficult than I anticipated, but after making the corners, I conceptualized and consequently built a domed roof of sorts. Of course, the diamond blocks were placeholder blocks, and I would change them later, but I really liked the idea that I was going for and that I conceptualized here. Moving back to the portal, I wanted the building to look like, as I mentioned before, it was exploding out of this portal, so I added a large cluster of glass blocks around the base of the building and have them kind of spread out further up, and I thought that gave the slight notion that this building was bursting forward out of this, what was a flat portal. After that, it was just a process of texturing the blocks, making sure everything had a nice build palette, and now I can show off the final product. And here, ladies and gents, is the final build. I think it turned out fairly well. There's a few interesting things I did with this that I've never done with any other build before. Namely, this build consists of only solid blocks. If you look here, there's only full blocks. There's no stairs, there's no walls. There are carpets, but that's to hide lighting. But apart from also the glass, which is technically, it's a full block, right? It's just transparent. Yeah, it's a full block. Everything is full blocks, which means this should be super easy to place because we don't have to care about how to orientate all the stairs or the slabs or anything of the sorts. I think that this build is going to be fairly easy to construct, and that was a goal. And I don't know if it screams Basalt, but I think that this build turned out, it turned out better than anticipated. I really do like the glass exploding. I used magenta glass hidden in there as well to kind of get a good feel for what is being actively disturbed in the portal. That was kind of the idea. The nether side of this build is super cool as well. Unfortunately, the replay mod kind of corrupted itself, so when we finally do get around to building this, which might be next episode, it probably will be a little more delayed. When we get around to building that, then I can actually showcase the nether side of the build as well, and hopefully you like it as much as I do. I'm really stoked. Also, you'll notice that I did get rid of the diamond blocks because holy smokes, that was not a very good artistic choice. Oh, but how could I almost forget we didn't include shaders. And here's this bad boy with BSL. Oh, this looks so cool with shaders. And what's great about this one is it's also in the Overworld, so I actually don't have to show you another build in the Overworld to show you what it looks like, because this is actually what it's gonna look like. I'm so stoked. Why is there a second shadow there? I'm confused. Why is there 2 shadows? Vashta Narada! That's a niche joke that no one's gonna get. Unless my grandfather's watching, he'll understand. Can you tell I'm tired? Can you tell? Because I am. My concluding thoughts are that this is a very interesting build. It's reminiscent of my style, but I try to change it up a little bit, and just using full blocks, there's something kind of fun about it, and I might try to use that kind of notion more in the future. We'll see how that goes, but for now, everyone, I suppose let's get on to today's questions. Today's first question is by Eagle, asking what music do I listen to and what is my favorite 80s song? I listen to all sorts of tunes, really, but I'm a big fan of house, future bass, and rhythm, basically anything that is loud enough to wake me up in the morning. As for the 80s, there's so many options. Bon Jovi, Queen, Michael Jackson, Billy Joel, there's so many options. But my favorite song, I would have to say it's this little indie song. It's super niche, really, kind of embarrassed to say it. But There's this song called Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. The next question is by Deficient Duck, asking if Harold is in his walls. And the answer is yes. And it's up to you if you want to be afraid. Fear is optional. Devotion is inevitable. And to conclude this time-lapse, small apology for this video getting out a little bit late. I've been feeling slightly under the weather lately, and you could probably hear it in my voice, so this might be a few hours late. Also, this weekend I will be visiting family, so there's a small chance that next week's video will be shorter, or maybe about something more simple, like how I made the fish farm song using only sounds from Minecraft, or something along those lines. Let me know if that interests you, and as always, leave a comment or a question down below, and I could respond to it in the following video. I've got to go. Sayonara.